The government's announced what's a huge attack on disabled people, with a plan to take billions of pounds from key support that disabled people rely upon to get by. That choice is a political choice.
This is urgent breaking news that affects millions. A bombshell revelation has just exposed the government's secret agenda targeting society's most vulnerable citizens. What you're about to witness isn't just another political scandal. It's a calculated assault on disabled people across the nation that could permanently alter countless lives. Today, we pull back the curtain on what may become this administration's fatal mistake. A devastating policy decision that's already triggering mass rebellion within their own ranks. The facts we're about to reveal have been meticulously verified, exposing not just the brutality of these proposed cuts, but the shocking deception behind them. If you or someone you know relies on disability benefits, or if you simply care about social justice, you need to stay with me for the next few minutes. This information could be crucial for your future. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This story is developing by the hour, and you cannot afford to miss a single update.
We're going to do things differently. We're going to tell the truth, even when they are hard truths.
The government's announced what's a huge attack on disabled people, with a plan to take billions of pounds from key support that disabled people rely upon to get by. That choice is a political choice, and it's the wrong choice. But the good news is we can stop this plan in its tracks. We need the widest possible campaign against these cuts to disability benefits. And that's why, as part of this campaign, I've launched a petition for wealth taxes, not for cuts. I'm going to be presenting this petition in Parliament before any vote on these disability benefit cuts, to remind MPs in there that we need them to vote against these cuts. In the first few days, more than 20,000 people have already signed my petition. So sign the petition, share the petition, and let's remind MPs that we need to be taxing wealth, not taking money off disabled people in our society.
Let's break down exactly what's happening here, because the details are genuinely disturbing. The government has launched what critics are calling the most aggressive attack on disability benefits in decades. At the center of this controversy is Personal Independence Payment, or PIP, a critical lifeline that helps disabled people cover the additional costs of living with their conditions. But here's the bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the political landscape. A government document has emerged revealing that officials knew exactly what devastation these cuts would cause. Their own impact assessment, quietly published after the recent financial statement, explicitly states that these measures will plunge thousands of disabled citizens into deeper poverty. Even more shocking, the public consultation on these reforms has now been exposed as a complete sham. Disability advocates have discovered that the government deliberately structured the consultation to exclude any discussion of PIP reductions, effectively silencing the very people whose lives hang in the balance. This isn't just bad policy. This is calculated deception. The government claims these changes are about encouraging work. But this justification crumbles under the slightest scrutiny. PIP isn't an out-of-work benefit. It exists specifically to cover the additional costs of living with a disability, costs that don't magically disappear when someone finds employment. In fact, for many disabled people, PIP is precisely what enables them to work in the first place. Let's talk about what's really at stake here. According to official projections, a staggering 52% of current PIP claimants would lose their support under these new measures. That's not a minor adjustment. It's a wholesale decimation of a vital support system. For perspective, let me show you what this means in human terms. 1. Specialized equipment that many disabled people need just to function day to day. 2. Higher energy bills from running essential medical devices. 3. Additional transportation costs when public transport isn't accessible. 4. Specialized dietary requirements that often cost substantially more. 5. Personal assistance for basic daily tasks. These aren't luxuries. These are fundamental necessities. Without PIP, thousands of disabled people will face impossible choices between heating their homes, buying food, or purchasing life-sustaining medication. But the impact extends far beyond individual suffering. These benefits circulate directly back into local economies. When you cut PIP, you're not just hurting disabled people, you're pulling money out of already struggling communities. The economic ripple effect will touch every corner of the country, affecting small businesses, care providers, and local services that depend on this circulation of funds. I want to be absolutely clear. These are verified facts, taken directly from economic impact studies and the government's own assessment documents. This isn't speculation. It's the brutal reality of what's coming unless action is taken. What's truly remarkable about this story is the unprecedented rebellion it's triggering, even within the government's own ranks. Over 80 members of parliament now find themselves in a politically perilous position. They represent constituencies where the number of people receiving PIP exceeds their electoral majority. In plain English, this means they could lose their seats if disabled voters and their families decide to punish them at the ballot box. This electoral mathematics hasn't gone unnoticed, and fractures are forming at the highest levels of power. The most visible challenge has come from Richard Bergen, who represents Leeds East. After recently regaining his position following a previous act of defiance over child benefit policies, Bergen has now launched a high-profile campaign called Tax Wealth, Don't Cut Disability Support. His petition, which has already gathered over 40,000 signatures, proposes an alternative that exposes the fundamental choice at the heart of this controversy. Why target disabled people when a modest 2% wealth tax on assets over £10 million could raise up to £24 billion per year? That's nearly 5 times what the government claims it will save through these disability cuts. But Bergen isn't alone. The rebellion is spreading to communities directly affected by these policies. In a powerful symbolic challenge, disability rights activist Abby Broomfield has launched a petition in the constituency of the very minister responsible for these cuts. As the architect of these reforms, the Work and Pensions Secretary now faces growing opposition from the estimated 11% of their own constituents who receive PIP, a political nightmare unfolding in real time. Meanwhile, disability organizations that have traditionally engaged with the government are now threatening to withdraw completely from the process. Fazalat Hadi, head of policy at Disability Rights UK, described the situation as a massive attack on the incomes of disabled people that has created anger and a sense of betrayal felt by millions. Even the traditionally restrained national broadcaster has begun highlighting the growing dissent, a sign that this story is breaking through into mainstream consciousness. To understand the true significance of what's unfolding, we need to place it in historical context. Political analysts and historians are already drawing comparisons to one of the most notorious policy disasters in modern political history, the poll tax of the late 1980s. For those unfamiliar with this chapter of history, the poll tax was a regressive taxation system that disproportionately burdened lower-income households. It triggered mass demonstrations, civil disobedience, and ultimately contributed to the downfall of a seemingly unassailable political leader. The parallels are striking. 1. Both policies disproportionately impact society's most vulnerable. 2. Both face widespread public opposition across political divides. 3. Both have triggered internal rebellion within the governing party. 4. Both represent a fundamental disconnect between leaders and citizens. Could these disability benefit cuts become this administration's poll tax moment, a catastrophic miscalculation that permanently damages their credibility and potentially ends political careers? The early signs suggest it might. Local elections are approaching, and political analysts are already predicting significant losses for the government, a potential early warning of the electoral devastation that could follow if they maintain this course. What makes this situation particularly remarkable is that this government came to power promising stability, compassion, and change. Many voters who supported them did so believing they represented a departure from previous policies that targeted society's most vulnerable. Instead, as disability advocates and even some within their own ranks now argue, they appear to be intensifying those very approaches while protecting the wealthiest in society from any additional contributions. This controversy forces us to confront a fundamental question about our national values. What kind of society do we want to build? Throughout history, philosophers and leaders have argued that a society's moral character is revealed by how it treats its most vulnerable members. These disability benefit cuts represent a profound test of that principle. The statistical and economic arguments are clear. We've already established that 1. PIP is not an out-of-work benefit, but supports additional costs of disability. 2. Many recipients use PIP to enable them to work and participate in society. 3. A modest wealth tax could raise far more revenue than these cuts. 4. The economic impact will extend beyond disabled individuals to entire communities. But beyond these practical considerations lies a deeper ethical question. Is this the direction we want our society to take? Millions of citizens are watching closely as this story unfolds, wondering what it reveals about our collective priorities and values. Do we stand with those facing the greatest challenges, or do we accept policies that further marginalize them? This isn't merely a political issue. It's a defining moment that will reveal much about who we are as a nation. The coming weeks will be crucial in determining how this situation resolves. Here's what to watch for. 1. The government faces mounting pressure to reverse course before these cuts are implemented. 2. Local elections will provide the first electoral test of public sentiment. 3. Internal party dynamics could force a policy reconsideration if the rebellion grows. 4. Legal challenges are being prepared by disability advocacy organizations. 5. Major demonstrations are planned in cities across the country. For those watching who want to make their voices heard, there are concrete actions you can take. Richard Bergen's petition Tax Wealth, Don't Cut Disability Support needs more signatures to demonstrate the strength of public opinion. Similarly, Abby Broomfield's parliamentary petition Protect Disabled People Who Cannot Work from Planned Cuts to Benefits requires additional support to force a formal response. Contact your local representative directly, especially if they're among the 80+ whose seats could be threatened by this policy. Your personal story or concern could influence their position. Support local campaigns and disability rights organizations that are coordinating responses in communities nationwide. And importantly, share this information widely. Many people remain unaware of these developments or don't understand their true implications. As we continue to monitor this developing story, one thing becomes increasingly clear. This is about far more than budget calculations or political maneuvering. This is about the kind of society we choose to be. The attack on disability benefits represents a fundamental choice between supporting those who face the greatest challenges or placing those burdens on the shoulders of those least able to bear them. In the coming days and weeks, citizens across the country will have opportunities to make their voices heard on this critical issue. The government's response will reveal much about whether they are willing to listen and change course. We'll continue bringing you updates as this situation develops. For now, I'm asking you to share this video, add your name to the petitions we've highlighted, and join the conversation in the comments below. What do you think about these developments? How will they affect you or people you know? Your experiences and perspectives matter in this crucial national conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed as this story continues to unfold. Thank you for your attention to this vital issue. Until next time, stay informed and make your voice heard.